Good evening. My name is John Boyer. I want to welcome you to our annual celebration of the Odyssey program, and a warm welcome to the students who are Odyssey scholars, former students who are alumni of the Odyssey program, to all of our donors, and to all of our friends and staff who help to support the program. It's always wonderful to have this event in this room. It's a very august room, very historic room. It has all of these oil paintings of the dignitaries of the university, and past, present, and in one case even of the future. It kind of was built the room was built, the building was built to impress in a kind of representational sense. As you know, it's almost an exact copy of the Great Hall at Christ Church College in Oxford, with people who speak a slightly different version of the English language than they do. And it's kind of one side of the university. It's the university of the august university, the historic university, the university of great men and women doing great things, and strikingly highly reputed in the annals of the American Academy, and indeed in the world of higher learning. But of course, there's also another side to the university, or another part of the university, and that is that the university would not be a great university. It wouldn't be an august university. It wouldn't be a distinguished university. It certainly wouldn't be a renowned university without the many decades, indeed legions of students who came here to study, to learn, to work, and then to go on and prosper and use their educations to the benefit of their communities and benefit of the nation. And in some ways what we're doing today is celebrating those students of the past, those students of the present, those students of the future. Because the students are the recipients of the scholarships, we have managed to provide them, but it's their work and their energy and their dedication that have brought such success and such a really remarkable renown to the university. And I think that's important to remember. This is a university of great studentship, great students, student colleagues, not simply the faculty as distinguished researchers. Now, you might ask, well, how did the university come to get such students? And it was not obvious when we opened our doors in the late 1900s, and specifically in 1892. William Rennie Harper and his colleagues were, Harper was good at recruiting faculty. You did that by visiting other universities and stealing them, by paying more than the next guy did, talking fast and promising this was going to be a great and renowned university, even though it was basically a prairie at the time, and then building neo-Gothic buildings like this that look like Oxford. And the faculty, well, I must be in the right place. I have a good salary, and I'm kind of like in a building that's like Oxford. But Harper realized that was only half the equation. He needed students, and he needed talented students. He needed students who were going to be not only worthy of the university, but who would make the university worthy of them. And if you look at the nature of our early student body, and this was actually studied quite extensively in the 1920s and 1930s by a group of social scientists, trying to figure out who the students were, their demography, their family origins, what their mothers and fathers did, what kind of preparation they had to come to college. It turns out that many of our students came from homes where the mom and dad did not go to high school, or maybe one or the other went to high school but not finished high school. Many of our students came from what we would today call blue-collar or laboring families, working class families. And you can see this because of the high rates of work that students had to engage in order to get through the college. It's been estimated by the mid-1930s, almost 60% of the male students and over 50% of the female students, full-time students in the college had either full-time, part-time, or even full-time jobs while they were in attendance here. And this was not like working a couple of hours a week in the library. This was actually a real job that they had to engage in order to manage the expenses of going to the university. And I've always thought that feature of our college, we were not only coeducational, but we were also kind of trans-class in a kind of socioeconomic sense. We were not simply a college for wealthy people or property people or prosperous people. We were a college that was open to people from all walks of life. was a great thing, but of course it was hard. It was hard to have a full-time job and have to take 4 courses a quarter or 3 courses a quarter. And so early on, Harper realized that it was very important that we come up with scholarship funds to help students. And they struggled to do that. Initially, the early scholarships were merit-based. You had to take a test in high school, and then you might get a scholarship. But scholarship was only for the first year, and then you had to kind of have it renewed and so forth and so on. And a lot of students did have scholarships, but we also know that a lot of the scholarship students also had part-time jobs. And again, not working a couple of hours a week in the library, but maybe 15 to 20 hours a week. And so my admiration for those generations of students who actually acquitted themselves remarkably well in the history of the university, helped make us the great university that we became. I admire them truly enormously because of their dedication to learning, but also their ability to kind of manage all of these different challenges in their own lives and the lives of their families. So, to come down to the present, about 15 years ago, my colleague Noel Salinger and I happened to go out on a trip. Now, I can't tell you where we went, and I can't tell you whom we met, although his name is Homer, I can tell you that much. But we went on a trip, and we did some things on that trip, and we came back with $100 million. That was a pretty good trip. And in fact, we should take more trips like that, Noel, right? And the Odyssey program, in some ways, is the culmination of 130 years of the work of the university to provide scholarship support to worthy students who are not only worthy of the university, but the university is worthy of them. And it's a program that has been started by one person, Mr. Homer, but then it kind of multiplied, and it grew, and it grew in support, and it grew in alliances, and it grew in affection and dedication. And so that the program we have today, although it began with one person, is now kind of the program of 1,000 people, of many, many people who have put their shoulders and have come to believe that supporting worthy students and giving people an opportunity to go to a great university and achieve success, to make something of themselves, but to also help make the university great while they're doing that, is a very worthy and important thing to do. And a thing that's really, I think, it's really an American project to do. It's, again, cutting across all classes, all ethnicities, all races, all religions, giving talented people a chance to make something of themselves, help their families, and help the university as well. So I want to thank all of you for joining this cause. As I talk about Harper's written back at me. I don't know where he is right now, but I think he would be very proud of all of you and those of you who have contributed to this program, because this is something that from the very first founding of the program, the men and women who created this university, they would have loved to have something like we have now. They worked so hard to get the resources that they could to generate to help students, but now to be able to have a truly need-blind, fully funded program, not based only on merit, but also based on financial need. This is really quite remarkable, and it's, I think, worthy of a great university. So it's now my great pleasure to introduce an alum of this program. It's always good to have some testimony as to whether what the dean has just said bears any resemblance to the truth. Other than the fact that Noel Salinger and I took a trip, which is the truth. And I'm now delighted to introduce Jessica Mora. She graduated from the college 2 years ago in 2020. She was an Odyssey Scholar while she was in the college. She majored in public policy and was a campus leader. She also ended up writing a book based upon her senior thesis. It's called Spread Your Wings in FLI, How to Effectively Navigate College as a First-Generation Low-Income Student. In some ways, the title of the book is actually a lovely coda to the arguments that I just made about our own history, that in some ways, we began wanting to help students of all classes and all social backgrounds achieve success and help themselves achieve success. And now coming down to the present, the Odyssey program has done just that for thousands of students who are uncommonly and deeply grateful for your support and for your generosity in doing just that. So let me turn the podium over to Jessica.
Thank you, Dean Dean Boyer, for the introduction. I remember going into college, I had so many questions, ranging from what size of bed sheets do I need to buy to how am I supposed to decide what to major in? It can be very intimidating starting college for anyone, but especially for first-generation students who are not only navigating higher education for themselves, but also for their families. I personally first got to campus the summer before my freshman year through a program called the Chicago Academic Achievement Program, or CAP. CAP for short. And that's actually the first time where I met with other Odyssey scholars. I remember them being really fun, incredibly motivated, and incredibly bright individuals. I felt more than lucky to be spending the summer with them. When I felt lost in class, when I felt imposter syndrome creeping in, they were there for me. These students, who were strangers to me at the beginning of the program, ended up being my support system, not only through CAP, but also through my UChicago career. I remember how lost I felt during my first chemistry class during CAP. Everyone else was so relieved that this chemistry class was only a review of AP chemistry, of which I had not taken. But it really seemed like it was a foreign language to me. That's where I could feel the imposter syndrome creeping in and all the questions spiraling on if I truly deserved to be at a place like UChicago. After class, I went up to a peer and asked if he wanted to do our problem set, our homework assignment together. As we sat down in the reg, I felt like it was time to come clean. I had to tell him I didn't understand anything that we had talked about in class. So I told him. And as I told him, he did something that really pleasantly surprised me. He pulled out his laptop, Googled the periodic table, and walked me through the first problem on the homework assignment. We left the library that night, barely making a dent in our homework assignment. But I felt incredibly at ease. The fact that someone who was basically a stranger was so willing to take time out of his day, out of getting our homework done, to explain an assignment to me truly meant a lot. Maybe this UChicago thing would work out after all. As such, there is no doubt in my mind that I made it through a place like UChicago because of the Odyssey community. College is a time when you're tackling some really big questions. Who am I really? What kind of person do I want to become? What do I want to do after graduation? I honestly didn't even know where to start when I first started at UChicago. So I decided to take it one small step at a time. I want to step outside my comfort zone. Maybe I'll join the circus. I want to feel like I'm a part of a community. Maybe I'll apply to be on the board of the Student Advisory Board for the Center for College Student Success. This class sounds really interesting. Maybe I'll take it next quarter. That was college for me. It was making small choices to help me figure out the answer to bigger questions. My college journey helped me figure out that I'm an artist at heart. I love writing and performing. I love advocating for other first-gen, low-income students and making their journeys through higher education easier. So much so, actually, that, like Dean Boyer mentioned, I ended up writing a book about it. Spread Your Wings and Fly, How to Effectively Navigate College as a First-Generation Low-Income Student, based off of the thesis that I wrote for public policy here at UChicago. I also really love working in the finance space. Like, genuinely, I really do. I have a lot of fun with it. I actually fell into finance through a bit of a happy coincidence. During my senior year, I didn't feel like I had a network to tap into, to look for that first post-grad job. It could feel a little bit isolating at first. So I turned to my resident head and I asked him what to do about it. He encouraged me to go to the career advancement office, and I decided to give it a shot. Looking back, it was truly the best decision I could have made for my career. Throughout my fourth year, I ended up regularly meeting with my career advisor, who helped me figure out what I wanted out of a job, what opportunities would align with my career goals, and go through mock interviews and offer me resume feedback. The list could truly go on. But here's the catch. I would have never met this career advisor or gotten the help that I wanted if I didn't ask. If there's something that I've learned through my time at UChicago, it's that asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It is a show of vulnerability. To the Odyssey scholars in the room tonight, know that even outside of your time at UChicago, the Odyssey community is here for you. Reach out, ask questions, catch up. We are here to lift each other up, even outside of the UChicago walls. Regardless of what you decide to do after graduation, know you still have a network of people cheering you on. And most importantly, don't forget to look behind you and uplift those that come after you, just as people have done with you. If you have to take away one thing from this entire speech, remember this. You don't have to know where you're going from where you stand today. Just have an open mind and be willing to figure it out as you go. You might be surprised what life will throw your way. Now, as the next speaker, I am pleased to introduce Mr. Joseph Neubauer. Mr. Neubauer is an alumnus of the business school. He has served on the Board of Trustees since 1992 and is chair of the board since 2015. Among his many accomplishments as chair, the university concluded the University of Chicago campaign, Inquiry and Impact, the largest and most comprehensive campaign in its history, which increased support for faculty, researchers, practitioners, and patients, students, and programs across the university. As a key champion of Odyssey, Mr. Neubauer's impact at the university can be seen in a variety of programs and initiatives, including the Neubauer Collegium for Culture and Society, Neubauer Family Adelante Summer Scholars, and the Neubauer Family Distinguished Doctoral Fellows. In 2013, Mr. Neubauer and his wife Jeanette received the University of Chicago Medal, awarded by the Board of Trustees to recognize distinguished service of the highest order at the university. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to our next speaker, Mr. Joseph Neubauer.
Thank you very much, Jessica. You've accomplished a lot, and your adversity you used to really power your dreams. And that's really what we hope all our students will continue to do. You're inspiring others to do the same, enriching not only your own life, but the life of future prospects that come to this university. And others in your family, because every time we change one student's life, we really change a family's life as well. You talked about the cohort effect of the students. It's something, frankly, that I've missed in my life. We started doing philanthropy. We're doing philanthropy in other places too. But the cohort effect, people that feel that they don't belong, and then they find people like them who also don't feel like they belong, but then they belong together. And I think that's really the remarkable thing, and you've got to hold on to that for a long, long time. They'll serve you throughout your life as you go forward. You know, there's a reason, as John talked about, the fact that the Odyssey is considered one of the greatest books of all times. First of all, it's really a monumental adventure story. After 10 years of fighting and finally winning the Trojan War, the Greeks just wanted to go home. They were tired. But it really took them 10 years to get back home. In the process, they learned important life lessons: courage and valor add honor and meaning to life, but war itself is a costly tragedy. How we wish some people today would learn that lesson from many, many years ago. The Odyssey is about a journey. It's about how to acquire values and virtues and strengthen life for yourself and for society. From its origins in the 1890s, the University of Chicago has been continuously integrated with respects to gender, race, and religion. Education access is the core to the university's highest values and central to its mission. By 1943, the University of Chicago has awarded at least 45 PhDs to African Americans, more than any other university at the time in the whole country. So heritage goes a long, long time ago to be able to do all this. The impact made by Chicago graduates proves the prescience of that philosophy, and it is the basis of the university's eminence throughout. I'm dedicated to Chicago's Odyssey programs because it enables the courageous, the determined to pursue life meaning despite economic adversities. I firmly believe that education is the foundation upon each one of us builds their lives. Let me tell you a bit of my own story. So I came to this country as an immigrant. I was a young teenager, didn't speak any English. I went to a school in Massachusetts where I was the first foreign student in that school. Spent 3 years there, went to a college outside of Boston. My father said, you can help you go there, but as long as you study medicine, engineering, or law. I didn't want to do any of those, but I chose engineering because that was the easiest thing. I learned afterwards it was not. But after 2 years in engineering, I got tired of that, didn't like it, and I started taking a thing called economics, and I liked that very much. In my senior year in economics, a professor with whom I've taken a couple of classes asked me what I was going to do when I graduated. And I said, I'd probably be a salesman for a chemical company or an oil company or something. He said, you thought about going to business school? And I said, I don't know what that is. So he explained what it was. And he said, you ought to apply to the University of Chicago. And I said, excuse me, you're here in Boston. You know, they're over there in Chicago. I don't know, by the way, where Chicago was. I know it was west of New York. That's as far as I got. But he said, no. I had a research assistant who actually majored in French, and he went to the University of Chicago, and I wrote him a recommendation. He's doing pretty well over there. So he wrote me a recommendation. I got accepted at the University of Chicago. I came here, again, as a first generation. My parents never went to high school. They went to finishing school in Europe. So here I was with students from Yale, from a school called Carleton that I never heard of, Pomona, which was somewhere in the West Coast, and I was scared to death. In those days, you got a scholarship for the first year, but to keep it, you had to stay on Dean's list. You know, George Schultz was the dean, so with him, it was just, you know, you get a merit scholarship, but you got to keep earning it every time. So I worked very, very hard. But I think the reason that I am so dedicated to scholarship at the University of Chicago is because they believed in me when I was not even a citizen of the United States. Again, that will never happen today. Happens very rarely for people today. So in 1963, I was lucky to get the scholarship. I came here. It's one of the best investments that they made and one of the best investments that I made. So I think we're about getting even now on the whole transaction. But, you know, it's a stroke of luck that changed your life. Somebody reached out to you and helped you. Something that I've never forgotten, and my wife and I do that all the time, every day, every week. to many people around this country and in Israel, where I was born. My commitment in the university is an expression really of my gratitude. It must be placed, that the university placed in me. A scared immigrant boy, not yet a citizen of this country. So as you heard from John, in 2007, another University of Chicago alum launched the Odyssey Program with a staggering commitment of $100 million. He also credits his financial success to his Chicago education, but mindful of hubris, he chose to remain anonymous. That's the nickname Homer. And Homer chose the Odyssey for the name of the program. So now we know the two of them. But Homer's gift came with a challenge. He challenged the university to match his gift, to underwrite an endowment dedicated to the funding of college scholarship, because his was $10 million a year for 10 years. So we had to match that over a period of time because he wanted it to go on for a long time. So I'm glad to say that we met his challenge and actually exceeded it significantly. We raised more than $150 million, enabling the best and brightest students to enroll at the first choice university despite the financial challenges and despite the fact later on in the program that we didn't want them to have any loans to worry about for the rest of their early careers. As you know, many of our competitors are able to fund a significant portion, up to 90%, of their financial aid through their endowments. We can only fund 30% of that, and the rest comes from our operating revenues. But every scholarship that we give changes the life trajectory of an aspiring young person who has everything it takes to succeed except a small thing called, how do I pay for my college career? Since inception, the Odyssey program has enabled more than 5,700 students to participate in this program, and many of whom are the first in their families to attend college. Many of them come from minorities. Many of them have never dreamt of a research university. Many of them whose parents don't want to send them out of their hometowns or their home states. And the scholarships provide support, mentorship, study abroad opportunities, paid internships, and, as Jessica said, cohort support to each and every one of them. This year, the college welcomed the largest Odyssey class in its program, in its history, over 368 students. A number of current Odyssey scholars and alumni are in this room tonight, and let me ask you to stand up so we can salute you. Come on, stand up, please. Of course, there is no greater champion of providing educational access than our former university president and current chancellor, Bob Zimmer. Everybody knows that he was an exceptional leader for this university over 15 years. Bob is, and what a difference he has made during his tenure. He's a person of high principles. He's strong. He's strong-minded, and he believes that the essence of a university is really an exceptional student body and an exceptional faculty. Those are the two key elements that Bob believes in, and I must say that many years that I've been on the board, I believe in that too. You can replicate buildings, you can replicate laboratories, but you cannot replicate the human capital that comes here and that teaches here. Those are the key cornerstones of the university. So Bob was determined to bring the best students to campus, to examine ideas, to challenge ideas, to encourage free expression, and respectful debate. He hoped that the students would utilize the best ideas to change the world. As the Board of Trustees considered, how do we honor Bob's 15 years? How do we recognize the amazing gift that this one human being has given to this institution? We could think of nothing more appropriate and meaningful to Bob than to create the Robert Zimmer Odyssey Scholarship Fund. So I got tasked with the challenge to raise over $100 million from the Board of Trustees, and I'm delighted to say that we did that in a little over 3.5 months. So people really recognize what this was. But this is only half of it. The challenge is now for the rest of the university family to raise the other $100 million, because what we're trying to do is double the Odyssey Scholarship as an endowment, so we can again support the next generations of Odyssey students that will come to this university. To all of you who have helped realize this ambitious goal, I thank you. Special kudos go to the College Advisory Council and to Ken Kaufman, the head of it. Thank you very much for the work that you guys are doing. For members of the audience still deliberating, I encourage you to have a chat with somebody like Jesse to understand what the Odyssey Scholarship means to them. Your generosity will ensure that the Odyssey impact lives in perpetuity. This will continue your commitment, and I want to thank you for your support in the past and your future support. Thank you very much. And let me turn this back to Jim Boyer. John?
So I guess I was the opener and I'm the closer. I want to, again, thank everyone for having come out this evening on a very cold, late March evening. And thanks to the students who have come, and the alumni, and to faculty, and all of our donors, and all of my supporters. Again, I'm always amazed by the paintings in this room. This is a place of great memory and kind of deep feeling. And the 3 paintings behind me are particularly important. We have Harper on the one hand, Ryerson on the other, and then our founder, as we call him, John D. Rockefeller, in the middle. And in a way, we're here today because of the faith that Rockefeller had in the good Baptists who were able to talk him into giving a significant amount of money that he did not want to give and thought that he would not have to give, but he did give, to start what was to be a rather nice 4-year Baptist college in the middle of Chicago that would help to educate the men and women of Illinois and Mississippi and Arkansas and Iowa, the Midwest and the broader West, as we call it. Because of the generosity of philanthropists like Martin Ryerson, and all of the other philanthropists who line these halls, the place became something different than a 4-year college. 4-year colleges are wonderful things. We have a terrific 4-year college. I would say we have the best 4-year college of any great university. But its greatness comes from the fact that it's part of this extraordinary university that has had such a powerful impact on American life and the lives of Americans over the last 130 years. The success of the university has come from the generosity of our donors, from the brilliance of the faculty, but also very much so from the dedication, the hard work, the discipline, and the creativity and courage of our students. And the scholarships that you've given, and the scholarships that your friends and neighbors will give in the future, will continue that tradition. We don't want to rest on our laurels. We've had a good 130 years, but we want the next 130 years to be even better. And with that, we're going to need even more support for our scholarship programs. So thank you very much. I hope you have a good, safe, and hopefully warm spring. And hope to see you all back here this time next year for yet another celebration of our Odyssey program. Thank you very much.